Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am in need of a new storage server, and today, well, we're going to solve that, and I can see it is flickering already. Yeah, today I have bought another server. I didn't want to buy any more servers, but there's been some problems with the current storage server. Originally, it was this one up here with all the SSDs in it, main host 20. However, I migrated it into this one after it was being too noisy and making a droning sound. But this is garbage. The X3300 M4, yes, it was built for small businesses and isn't really a rack server, but it's just the moment it gets any SSD load, because it's got 4 MX500 1TB in from Crucial, so those should easily be able to push a lot of data. It just starts getting really high latency and locking up, which I'm not happy about at all. So I went on eBay, and for £114 I got myself a HP ML350 Generation 8, and yes, it's an absolute tip in here. I went through every box and thing I could find to try and get that storage server better, the current one. But this guy should hopefully solve all my problems. I'm a lot happier with HP stuff. Generally seems to have a bit better build quality, made of sturdier materials, and they don't take near as long to boot, which is really nice. But yeah, what I ordered this with was an E5-2620 V2, 32GB of DDR3 1600MHz registered memory, a P420i, and I think that's about it. We've got the 8 2.5-inch bay model, so that means we have 8 2.5-inch drives, and oh yeah, I've put it on here now, so I can't exactly open this up to show you, but there's 4 bays there, and then there's a little power button and another 4 USBs there. It is missing a few bits, and there's a little black nub there which sort of this clips onto. That is missing on this end here. I did have to take the key lock out as well. This was, well, you can see there the key is clearly been snapped off inside it, so that's not getting any use anytime soon. So I pulled that out. I couldn't actually get the leftover bit of key out yet, so I'll have to try again later. But yeah. Now, the primary reason why I have such a big storage server is because I'm running VMs. All of my new servers, they use shared storage over iSCSI, which lets them basically have all of their storage on a separate physical server, and then we just use a very fast interlink between the cluster servers and the storage servers, in which case it's going to be this guy. And when you're running over 100 virtual machines, let's just say latency and storage speed matters a lot, especially if they all start powering up or down at once. There's a lot of read-write activity. So hopefully this guy will be able to solve it, because right now it performs awfully. I did also put in a huge HP RAID card I've had for a long time. This is the P812. It's got, I believe, 2 gigs of cache. It has 2 SAS ports there and 4 around the back. Just there, lovely stuff for connecting up to big sandboxes. And that there is something I want to have a play around with, because none of my other servers will work with it properly. I was going to put this in the X3300 M4, because I know HP RAID cards are generally a lot better with SATA drives, even though this one's limited to 3 gigabits per second per SATA drive. But it just had an absolute fit when I did that and wouldn't post properly. Now, right now, I've just loaded it up and keyed into intelligent provisioning. We could actually do with shutting it down, just so we can take a closer look at what we've got here. I have already had to put a bit of WD-40 on this fan here. It was making a whining sound, and it still sort of is, so I'm probably going to replace that entirely. And we can see here the even the plastic frame on this thing is filthy with dust. I didn't record it, but when we first switched this on, dust blew everywhere. And well, you can just see by the top of it there, it is nasty. Nasty. And just a quick overview, we try and pop the ice up a bit there. You can get a good view of all the lovely dust in this. Like, look at those fans. Lovely stuff. And there was a big clump of dust stuck on that chipset heatsink there. Although that says smart storage. I have no idea what smart storage is, but fair enough. So our chipset must be this guy down here next to our ILO chip. There's a CMOS battery there as well. There is actually quite a lot of components on this, which is why I quite like it. So when I move this over to being the storage server, obviously I'm still going to need to boot off my old drive, but there's a problem. The Generation 8 series of HP stuff doesn't support GPT or UEFI booting, as it's more commonly referred to as. Not officially that I could find anyway. So I'm going to have to move over the RAID card that I'm using for the boot drive, plug that into one of these slots, and luckily HP actually give you an extra 2 SATA cables here, so I'll be able to power the drive with this and have the data go off a normal SAS to SATA connector, which is awesome. We have got a DVD drive there, and then we have our back plane just along there, and interestingly it looks like we've got Molex as well. Fancy stuff. Now allegedly you can put graphics cards in these, which makes sense because as you can see there, that says plus external 225 watts. So I'm willing to bet if we plugged in a 1060 or something with either a converter, you know, a SATA or double SATA to 6-pin, or perhaps there's cables you can get for this, it will probably run a treat. And I've just noticed down there we have this Supercap. I'm not sure how well you can see that, it's not really focused. It's just down here. There is a capacitor, and that is used for the onboard P420i, and that focus really doesn't want to play today, does it? Not at all. But anyway, so that means our card here, this is our cache card, has a battery backup, which is lovely. Now this one is only a 512 megabyte, so what I'll have to do is pull the 2 gigabyte module out of my other DL380p G8 and slot that in here. I'm not actually sure where GPU power would go in though. It does say plus EXT 225 watts, but there's no headers or anything that I can see of just yet. Perhaps they're all hidden away somewhere. It does look like there would be an additional 2 SAS ports down there, because we do have some up here, and also where it looks like some cables run. But yeah, we've got 4 fans. We only have 3 installed, plus a Blanco, which also is filled with dust. Lovely stuff. And they are a little bit fiddly to get in. We have a lot of RAM slots. I'm not actually sure how much we have. So we have 6 on each side. So we've got 12, we've got 24 slots in total. And support for 2 processors, which is really nice. Unlike that IBM, I won't have to get a VRM card or anything to put a second processor in. We can just slot one in and away we go. Looking at what else we have on here, we have 3 SATA ports. That is lovely. So we can probably put a lot of stuff in here. And then I'm assuming those are 2 front panel ports. We've got the fan ports, got a squeaker can there. We have an SD card slot there. So if you have a VMware or Proxmox on an SD card, you can boot that. We do have something there that says Toshiba. I wonder if that's NAND, but I thought NAND was over here for intelligent provisioning, which is what I was just in. And other than that, there's not really much else to go over. The back I/O. Well, I abruptly took a second there to clean the server out. I actually found where the GPU power cables go as well. So this entire fan assembly can be removed with this big handle clip here. So if we pull out all of our fans, which are still pretty dirty, I need to go through them all. Pop that one up there. This one as well. And our blanket. We can then remove this assembly with the handle. It's a bit of a... It's not quite so smooth, but I think that's just because it's still caked with dust. We put that down there. We can actually get a good look at the 2 8-pin GPU power cables we have there, which explains how this one here says plus EXT 225 watts. And it actually says it up here as well. Now, what is very interesting is I've actually managed to plug that big RAID card I had in CPU 2. However, it is still working, even though we don't have CPU 2 installed. And I have cleaned up the socket there as well, because that actually had dust inside the socket. And despite having this plastic thing on, you can still see little bits of dust dotted around if I drop the ISO there. But yeah, I'm going to leave that little piece of plastic on just because it's going to stop me from, well, bending the pins as I've done in a previous video. But yeah, oh, and actually we do have we have a third GPU pin there as well. So in theory, we could possibly pop something like an NVIDIA Tesla card in. As I say, I'm going to definitely put the 1060 in this slot down here, do some Plex transcoding with that. And there you go, you can see a lot of that dust in there as well that I've still not got to, and there's some down here as well on this foam. Quite a lot on these pins here as well, and it actually looks like we potentially have another GPU power connector. Oh my god, how many GPUs do they expect you to put in this thing? Because I only see 2 X16, oh no, there are 3 X16 slots. And that one there also says EXT225, but this one up here is only 75 watts. How interesting. So in theory, you could put 4 GPUs in this thing. That is crazy, especially for a tower server. But yeah, I'm really happy with these extra SATA cable connectors we have here. And we actually have 2 Molex connectors. So that will provide us plenty of expansion. I do plan to use both of these if I can. So we'll likely have, this one will go like that. So we can have the second drive backplane in here, and then the other one will come across. So we have the third one. And as you can see, the even these expansion covers are covered with dust, which is absolutely lovely. So I think I've still got a little bit more cleaning up to do. I actually want to have a quick nosy at the memory, just see what type we've got. And this is HP Smart Memory, and you can always tell by that because it has the HP security ID on it there. And this here is 8 gigabytes of 2RX4 ranking PC3L 10600R. So this is actually 1333 megahertz, not 1600 megahertz as advertised. But since I bought this as for parts are not working, I don't think I can get a refund on it, nor from the damage. As you can see, the power supply bit that came off the little handle is completely gone. And if I pull this round, it's probably best putting it back together first. You can see where the handle would sort of cover over here, entirely gone. And that power supply is only a 460 watt, which is never going to run a GPU in its lifetime, not of the caliber of the ones that I want to put in. So we will definitely swap that with a different one, with one of the other G8s. But yeah, that really kind of covers the system board. Obviously we have our 2 SAS cables here, which go up to our front plane, and which does make me wonder, if I put the others in, how on earth do they expect us to wire those up? Because we have these plastic things here, but I think these are just for routing cables. They don't seem to have any, you know, SAS ports left over underneath them that could be soldered on. There is definitely a slot there for something, where something would go, some solder pads. I don't see any on this side though. So potentially we may actually have to use our P812, 2 of these SAS ports, to go to the back plane here, and then the third one up here, assuming I can use this third one as a drive back plane, which I think I can. From the images and videos I've seen, you can fit all of them in with back planes. The CPU, I'm not going to pop the CPU out, just because I don't have any thermal paste at the moment. I've gone through all of my MX4 tubes, so I don't want to pour that out. But yeah, I/O wise, which I think is where I left off before I abruptly started cleaning. Let's have a quick nosy at what we've got. So we have, we actually have a sticker of what this thing was previously called. CC Serve CC Hypervisor. I'm assuming this HP is a hypervisor one of whatever company CC used to be. Or potentially still is. Perhaps they just upgraded it. They left it in a very horrible state though. Now, interestingly, you'll notice this here is actually a cover, and we have another cover next to that power supply there. That's because this thing supports up to 4 power supplies if you put the second backplane in, which I'm thinking we might need if we want to ram a load of GPUs in. But yeah, anyway, I digress. We have a VGA port there. That'll be for the video output, which I believe on this is, it's almost certainly, with it being a G8, going to be a Matrox G200. And I already see our networking chip there. So we have a Broadcom BCM5719. I wonder, where is that Matrox chip? It's got to be around here somewhere. Not entirely sure. It's usually around where the VGA cable goes, at least on the ones I've played around with. Not sure. It'll be hidden away somewhere. Perhaps I've gone past it. But yeah, that's almost certainly going to be a Matrox G200EH, which is the HP version. We then have 4 USB ports, lovely stuff, plenty of expandability there. We have 4 Ethernet ports. I'm not actually sure if all of these are usable. I've got a switch plugged in, so we can test that in a bit. And then we have our ILO 4 port, that's just there. And then we have a serial communications port, lovely stuff. So I think I'm going to finish cleaning this up and get all of those fans sorted. There was one that was making a whine. I've applied a little bit of stuff on that to hopefully try and quiet it down. And we can go from there and see if it's still a racket or not. And like, even the SATA cable, like, clearly someone hasn't paid much attention to cleaning that. I did also clean the front cover. I'm not entirely sure what I've done with that now. Here it is. So here is our front cover of the server. I've removed the stickers. It's looking a whole lot nicer now. So yeah, very nice. As a lot of servers get sold, they typically don't have these included. So if we take the G8s, for example, that I've got here, they do not have the bezel that goes over the front, because typically when data centers throw these things out, they aren't bothered about the drive caddies or the covers. They just want to dispose of the drives and get the things out and sold on. Cool. Let's get this thing cleaned up, I guess. And as we discovered before, that one is only a 512 megabyte cache module, so I will have to dig through my DL380s at the weekend and find what I did with my 2 gig cache module. Yeah, let's crack on. Right, so I'm not sure if I'm going to put this in the main video or not, but it's been about a week now and this thing is still not finished. This here is supposed to be the new file server, the ML350p Generation 8, that I've just got rubbish over. And it's been a bit of a bumpy ride. So when we originally got it, the power supply was damaged. As you can see, the handle for it's come off, and I had to use some force and some pliers to get this out. I've replaced that. It now has 2 HP Enterprise 750 watt power supplies. And when I was just about to say this thing was ready, I went to put the graphics card in and I found out it doesn't use a 10-pin, obviously it uses the 8 pins. No one online has the 8-pin versions, and then to add to that, this fan failed. Well, it's not exactly failed, but it makes some horrible noises. It sounds like someone's scraping wood over wood, really, I guess. We tried oiling it, tried WD-40ing it. The bearing is just knackered, so that's gone. This isn't really going to be very useful unless I can find some way of forming a new bracket for it to be pulled out, one that's strong at that. So I don't even know if a 3D printer could solve that. I think ideally I just need a bit of metal that can sort of go between these 2 points, because there's no way this is going on. With the amount of force you need to pull these out once they've been in for a while, super glue would not do the job at all. So that's also rubbish. But there is a tiny bit of hope. These here are new fans, new hot swap fans. Unfortunately, they have also arrived damaged. As you can see, this one here, if I pop the ISO up a bit for you there, you can see it is snapped. Okay, I'm not sure how much of that is saved because the camera crashed yet again, which is ridiculous. But yeah, this fan to replace the faulty one has also arrived damaged. This one seems alright, but as I was saying, it doesn't seem integral. It only seems where you lift it up, so you could still lift it up from these bits rather than from that bit. But that does suck a little bit because these were about £25 each, which is probably about $22, I reckon, a fan per fan. So you got what, basically $50 worth of fans here. But yeah, that's fine. Let's crack this guy open because right now it won't boot. It will only post a portion of the way and then say, hang on a minute, you've only got 3 fans, let's shut down. So here is the current state of it. I've moved a few things around. We now have a bunch more PCIe cards. We have a Mellanox Connect X3 40 gigabit per second fiber card there. We have a RAID card I was testing with to see if we can get into the LSI utility. It looks like we can, but there's a few adjustments in the BIOS I need to make. And then here is an external LSI RAID card with 2 external SAS ports. I don't think I can quite get round to it now. And that was also to test it, and also just to keep the battery on this card charged, because it's not been charged in a long time, so not very good. Anyway, we can see we have the fan slots here and a fan slot here, or actually where this blanker is. So let's go ahead and pop that guy out. A little bit of dust on it still, but that's absolutely fine. Let's grab one of these new fans, and it is safe to put this in whilst it's got power. As you can see, the green LEDs are on down there. It is absolutely safe. These are hot swap fans, so they are designed to fail and to be replaced whilst the thing is running. So as I say, I love the HPs because you can just line it up. If we can line it up properly, drop it in, and yeah, you can see that bit that's snapped there. But I don't think we need it. I can perhaps repair that with super glue, because I mean, when we pull them out anyway, we're only pushing this red bit here, and this little black bit on the other side, so that should be fine. Grab the other one here, and we'll line that one up and drop it in as well. Cool. So now we're just going to apply power to this thing, which it's already got in, so we're just going to need to flick it on and just make sure these new fans are running okay. And to test that, I am actually going to remove this plastic cover here, just so we can get a good look at those fans as they're running, make sure none of them are noisy, etc. So we can see them all here if we pop the ISO up a bit. So that one's been replaced and that one's been replaced. Lovely stuff. So let's go ahead and push the power on button. So I can see that one's running. That one's running. The RAID card is blinking red because the supercapacitor is missing, as we're still waiting for parts to fix that. But overall, off the bat, I can see that both of those fans are running nicely and there's no screeching sound. So let's pop this guy back on, provide our airflow, keep things going in the right direction. Make sure that is properly all in, which it is. Lovely stuff. And then we can get the lid on. Lovely stuff. So once power and thermal calibration kicks in, that should quiet down. I don't think a fourth fan has ever been installed in this server before. And what I actually noticed the other day I think this thing did have Smart Array Advanced on it, but since I've wiped it, I think that's gone now. So that's a shame, but oh well. I might actually just pop that up a little bit. And let's just make sure this thing still boots into Windows all right, which I'm sure it will. As you can see there, E5 26220. Certainly is a little bit noisy, but I still don't think it's fully kicked in with thermals yet. So there's the bit telling us that our supercap is gone. And there's the LSI RAID card. So that's the external one, I believe. Yep, MR10M. Oh no, okay, so perhaps that is the internal one. And here's the interesting bit. It'll get rid of the buttons before it can see what it wants you to push. There you go, see? It's just like, nope, you're not going in there. Lovely stuff. So one of them is still making a little bit of a racket, but it's not the grindy noises that we were getting before. There you go. So that is much better. That's basically what the other servers sound like. I can actually talk over this now. Don't have to raise my voice or anything. And you can see from the little bit of dust hanging off there that we've definitely got more than adamant airflow. Look at that, if it focuses. Lovely stuff. So, I mean, I'm going to call this a win for now. Which means at the weekend I'm going to have to move everything over to this server. And since it uses a different brand RAID controller internally, because we're going to be using the HP one instead of the LSI one, I think I'm going to have to back up and restore all of my data. So that's going to be about 3 terabytes worth of SSD storage to back up. Move into this box, recreate the RAID arrays. I've got quite a lot to do really, especially because I'm going to be keeping the boot drive on the original RAID controller and move that RAID control in here. So there might be some playing about to do to get it to boot, because it's got a UEFI version of Windows installed, and these G8s, they aren't UEFI, they're actually MBR, or BIOS rather, legacy. So we might have to use some paid utilities, perhaps EasyOS or something, to convert GPT to MBR. Yeah, we can see this is running. Yeah, I'm not in. There you go, it's slowly coming along. Cool. And we can see all of the HP stuff has started up there, so that's all happy. Lovely stuff. So yeah, I'm going to call that a win for now. And there isn't really anything more to do with this. I'm going to shut down. And we're just going to say, there's a hardware maintenance one, there you go. And we'll just put new fans installed. Lovely stuff. Right, and that's it. Just a quick update, I guess.